Hi, this is Rachel Cook with Women, Wisdom, and Wellness, and my guest today is Cynthia Regardie. She has been my next door neighbor at the office here for years. I'm not sure how long, but years.
Yes, about 8.
About 8 years, yeah. And she is a clinical psychologist, is that right?
Yes.
She's in private practice, and her business is Dayspring Counseling. So welcome, Cynthia.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So last time on my interview, we talked a lot about change and navigating the changes in our lives and being willing to step into bigger things and really kind of following that inner compass. And I think the thing that came up for me was, how do we have confidence to do that, to kind of follow our path regardless of what anybody else thinks we should do or says we should do or whatever, or to step into something maybe we haven't done before.
Right. Well, and confidence is such a big bucket to put things into. And I think it's important to start with, what is confidence? And people define it in different ways, but the way that I have come to understand confidence is kind of a trust in yourself, a trust in just who you are and what you have. And I'm not talking things, I'm talking gifts or talents or abilities or passions. And each one of us is made up a little differently in that department, where somebody may be more athletic, perhaps somebody's more academic, or just pursuits that they've looked at and gone after. And I think confidence, what I've come to see with people who demonstrate it and live it, they've come to just value and develop a sense of trust in themselves. That I, either in a thinking process, right, I can do this, or why not, or I've had success over here, and they carry it over into other areas. So you had mentioned prior to us talking here that you've reflected on, when do I feel most confident? So I think it's important for any of us to think, have I ever felt confident? Look at your whole life. Have I ever felt confident? And even if it was in elementary school when you got compliments for drawing well or something, when have you ever felt confident? That sense that I got this, or I'm all right, or I can do this, or I can make it. Any of those thoughts and experiences, maybe a visceral thing of just a trust in oneself and a valuing of oneself. Mm-hmm. That's what I think of as confidence. And so there are external ways that we can get that. Our first opportunity for that would be maybe our parents or our home world, whatever that looks like, that maybe you have people who allow you to try new things or encourage you to try new things, and maybe they're your cheerleader, your coach, maybe not literal coaches, but somebody in your life who is saying, yeah, go for it, or you got it, or you did it, or that's so neat. I've got about a dozen nieces and nephews, and I've been an aunt since I was about 6 years old.
Oh, wow.
Because I have a huge family, and just watching them and the whole big family configuration, when everything from a first step, right, where you're cheering, to challenging them, how about hopping, how about riding your bike and jumping off a curb, all the way to, why can't you be first string football, or why couldn't you win that academic scholarship? It's that confidence comes from that sense that I'm okay, I'll be okay, and I'm worthwhile. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? And sometimes people say, well, I've got confidence at work, but not over here. And I remind them, you can borrow from that, right? It's not compartmentalized. It's internal. And so asking yourself, I think, is important. When have I ever felt confident? If it's external, okay, that's a great start. But I want to challenge people to, when did I feel it inside? In my gut, or in my center of who I am, I can do this, or I got it, or why not, or maybe even you are nervous, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. I like what you said about, if you're confident in one area, that you can bring it into the other area, because that's one of the things that we talk about in hypnosis too, is that if you've ever felt that way in your life, you can feel it again. Mm-hmm. It's kind of about tapping into that experience and re-experiencing it, and then applying it to the new thing.
Exactly. It's realizing that it wasn't a fluke. Mm-hmm. I always say that people don't just do things. We do things because we've either been rewarded or punished for it, saw it modeled, it did something, right? We get some kind of gain. Sometimes it's a negative gain, but we get something from it. That's why we did it. I ate that thing and it tasted great. I had a hot soak in the tub and it relaxed me, or whatever. it gives us something. And so when we got a good experience over here, that's why I help people stop and reflect. It's kind of like that mindfulness process where people they rush through their lives, or they feel hectic and frenetic, and they don't take time to reflect.
Yeah.
And I hear people all the time saying, I'm too busy, I'm too busy, I'm too busy. That's a state of mind. Yes, I am busy. I run a couple businesses. I've got children. I have a husband, friends, right? I want my own thing going on as well. I look at my schedule often, and I find holes in pockets. And, okay, can I condense things? Can I move things? And then with those holes, do I have to fill them?
Right.
'Cause sometimes I do. I got to get that phone call. I got to get my dentist appointment. And sometimes maybe I need to sit still and just breathe. When was the last time you sat and just listened to yourself breathe?
Yeah. It is important, right?
It is, because when we get in that frenetic mode, our body changes, right? That cortisol and all that junk, and it makes you off. And then your thinking is also part of it, that, well, I don't have time for that.
Right.
And so I'll challenge my clients to say, okay, let's look at your schedule literally, right? On your phone, on a date timer or whatever. Do you not have time, or you haven't made time?
Right. It's about making time.
It's about making time, because who will ever have enough time and money? Nobody. And time goes away. You can't make it up. I mean, I guess if you go bankrupt, if you work your butt off, you can get money again, but you can't get time back.
Right.
And so that confidence thing, right? I can go back in time and look at, maybe I haven't felt confident in years. Okay, did you ever feel confident? And if not, every now and then I get people, no, I never have. And okay, let's briefly look at what lined it up so that you didn't get that opportunity. And then how do we create opportunity now that you could feel good? And people, it's funny, they'll think about like maybe a bank account number or a dress size, or right, or a trophy on the wall is a sense, that, and I'll feel confident. And I think it's the opposite, that when I feel that feeling, it's based on something, then I might exercise more and get to that shape I want, or earn that award, or maybe even get a raise, or go out and start your own business like we did.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's working from the inside out instead of waiting for those external things to tell us that we're worthy and valuable. And
yes, and that's where I think some people will tap into the spiritual too, right? Because we're mind, body, spirit, and so we try to help people figure out that, what have you done in that world? And for some people, it's just that feeling they get, or that sense from other people. For some, it's faith. And so we'll look for resources for that, because you can't just manufacture it. A lot of times I think the self-esteem kind of gets attached to that confidence, and we get esteem or worth from accomplishment. And it doesn't have to be, I made $1 million. Well, that would be cool. It's a valuing of self. That I can, and I'm going to do my best at it, and let's see what happens. Why not? And I just came from a breakfast this morning about businesses, and the guy said, go out and take risks. Why not? I mean, not big crazy ones. You want to lose your house, or maybe you do. I don't know. But he's go out and take risks. Why not? And I think a lot of times we get so comfortable with things, or we have believed something for so long, we stay, kind of frozen and little, instead of going, well, why not? Instead of waiting for that external. It may happen, but what if it never did? For some crazy reason, like what if you never, like what if you came in second place all the time? Now are you not worth anything? And it's like, no, I mean, right, like silver place in the Olympics, like, wow, you're at the Olympics.
Right,
That's
it's
cool.
still huge.
That's huge. I will never be at the Olympics. Like, wow. But that confidence, like I said, it's an internal thing that we can grow, right? And not with fairy tales and wishful thinking, real stuff. What's my value? So sometimes I'll ask people, do you have a friend? Yes. Have you had a friend, especially once you're over 40, have you had a friend for more than a couple of years? If the answer is yes, let's go back and look at what they have said and told you about how cool you are.
Oh, I like that.
Right, or anybody in your life, right? You can go way back. You can go back from your first memories all the way to yesterday. Who in your life has said things like, wow, you have a great voice, or you're so kind, or whatever, and sometimes it's the external, sometimes it's the internal. And find those ones, there's at least one person in your life maybe who at least even one statement in your entire life said, you are this. What they're saying is, I see something in you.
Yeah.
And I've taught my kids, you can choose to take it in or not. Whether somebody says, wow, you're so kind, I love what friend you are to me, and you soak it up and go, wow, yeah, I'm a great friend. This is good. What do I do to be a great friend? Maybe I want to go do it more and kind of spread the love. And or somebody says negative, well, I don't like you because whatever reason. And if it's something that's just maybe jealousy or just meanness, I tell them, you don't have to take it in. You can go, that's not true. And you can push it out. But you need a few more than one person to get that sense of who am I? So a lot of times with clients, I'll start with, who are you? What words would you use to describe who you are? What are your gifts or talents or abilities or just character beyond your eye color and your height and even your name? Just who are you? So who's Rachel, right? Who's Cynthia? And sometimes people never stop to think about that.
So it's tapping into that and then kind of building the confidence from there, once we have that sense of self.
Yeah, that just enough, right? You don't have to wow, I have to wait till I feel great and then I go. No, it's both. It's okay, I've got a few people in my life who said good things about me. Or sometimes people just know. Like, I know I'm a good writer. I've loved to write, or I know I'm very kind with people. And so that's another piece. I say, okay, well, what do you just know about yourself? Some people are tapped into that, some aren't. Yeah. So it's a tuning into oneself, and I can help people learn to do that. But what do you just know about yourself? And it's a passion, or I'm pretty good at this, and it could be something as basic as, hey, I know how to draw a straight line. Okay, great. What else do you know how to draw? Or what else do you know how to do? That we can get so used to ourselves, we forget that not everybody can do what we can do.
Right, we kind of take it for granted, right? Because we go, oh, this is easy. Yes. Everybody can do this. This is easy, and not everybody can, or not everybody knows that, or whatever it is.
Which is why it's good to be exposed to other people and places and things, at least a little, right? So that you could kind of realize, like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, or hey, I didn't know I was great at that. And I remember having experiences in my life where, like, I thought everybody could do that, or oh, you can do that. I'll try it.
Yeah.
Right? Or we could block ourselves and say, oh, I could never do that, right? And I'll say, well, based on what? Now, the fact that I'm not going to go to the Olympics because I haven't been, I'm not 12 and a gymnast, or whatever. But I do see every now and then, like, 60-year-old, like, sharpshooters or something, like, oh, well, if I were into that, I guess I could do that in a decade or so, right? Like, okay, there's still, but you got to see the context of it. And sometimes I think for people to not have context, it's just they haven't had maybe that environment, or they haven't tuned into certain things in their environment, that it's not all bad.
Right. And I think what you said earlier, too, was important about kind of letting stuff sink in when somebody says something good about us. Yes. Because I think a lot of people tend to, they hear the negative, they hear the bad, but it's almost like the compliments just kind of bounce off them. And they don't really receive the compliment, and that is really important, right?
It is. I've heard so many women in particular, because the majority of my clients are women, they'll say, well, no, in their head even if they don't say it, well, no, but. Or, like, gosh, you look nice today. Oh, my gosh. Oh, no, I don't. This is
my hair's a mess.
Right, and so I try to teach my kids, I just started to realize, that's rude. That's rude. If you give me a compliment and it's like slapping your hand or pushing you away, I wouldn't do that.
Right, that's a good point.
But emotionally and internally. So I'm rude to you, and I do a disservice to myself. Because unless somebody is a, I don't know, con artist or something, why would they tell me that?
Right.
Why would somebody take the time? I mean, everybody's so busy and in their phone. Why would they bother anymore? So you really have to look at it, but you have to filter, right? You got to have some balancing act, because what if you have somebody in your world that's just negative or just critical or abusive? You don't want to take in what they have to say. You really, right? It becomes toxic. So again, we have to develop that skill, and that's what, friendships could do that. Therapy, of course, to just find that balance. I shouldn't take in everything, and I shouldn't shove out everything. I got to develop a filtering system to, well, is there any truth to that? And, well, if I've had 5 people say I'm kind, I guess I'm a kind person. I didn't realize it was just how I do things, and I guess that's kindness. And then maybe not so good stuff we have to work on. Well, gosh, you're awfully pushy. Oh, goodness. A few people have said that. Maybe I am pushy. I should work on that. But the confidence thing comes from being able to soak that in, to say, I do have something to offer. I think every person does. Now, sometimes it gets buried under awful stuff. right? Hurt or abuse or trauma. It's there. It just might be harder to get there because, you're in prison because you hurt people. But I think everybody has something there, and it's just trying to figure out what that is, which is why, I love being around kids because they don't think there's anything they can't do.
Right.
And they're not afraid to try things, and I think that's how you figure it out. So, have a little bit of kid in you come out. When's the last time you danced in the rain or skipped down the street?
It's been a while.
And when my kids were little, I kept thinking, this is an excuse to go be a kid, right?
Yeah.
So we would splash in puddles and skip down the street. And I always tell my girlfriends, but if we did that out of nowhere, they would think we're insane.
Right.
What is wrong with that person? What are those women up to? And, which is kind of too bad. I mean, obviously don't.
It is kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it in a board meeting or something, but. When was the last time you just tapped into being a kid, or just reflect? What did you think you wanted to be when you grew up as a kid? Right? What did you dream about, and why? And sometimes it's because I was really good at running. I wanted to go, be on track, but I wasn't that good. All right, do you still love running? Go out and do it. And sometimes when you're exercising and stuff, I call it brain float. Right? I'm not doing anything but sweating here, and working out, and then I just let my brain go. I don't worry about work and we're planning what's for dinner. I'm just in the moment, feeling myself sweat and just trying not to think, right? I don't clear my mind, but just trying not to think. And then all of a sudden, a memory will pop up, or you'll hear a song. And my daughter asked yesterday, hey, do you ever hear a song and it makes you think of another time? She's in high school, and she's remembering this song that came out from junior high. And I said, all the time. Right when you have the flashback on the radio or whatever, and of course now everybody's Spotify and all that, and they pick their music. I said, but every now and then I like to really just be in the radio, just like back when I was a teenager. Let's see what comes up, right? And how exciting that was, my song, right? And what did that do for you? And who cares if you only dance great in your own room, right? Why not dance, right? Then maybe that'll help you feel confident because, I really like that, and maybe I'll go put on that outfit right? Then I'll put the external because it's starting to match up with the internal.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I got to motivate myself with that external. I just came off of an awful cold, and I made sure that I still got up and got dressed and, got to work when I didn't have the fever, and I had to make sure I got to keep going, right? This is my life. I can't stop because I don't feel so hot, and, make sure I'm not contagious, but I couldn't come in looking like I felt, or my clients wouldn't want to come see me.
Right.
So I didn't come in disheveled and whatever sweats I could find. And it was like, okay, I deserve this. I value me.
And I think that's a big piece of confidence too, is taking that time for ourselves and doing the things that make us feel valued. Whether it's even if it's painting your nails or giving yourself a pedicure or just taking some time off for yourself. I think it's really, that kind of builds confidence too, because you're telling yourself, I'm worth it. I am valuable. Yes. I do deserve this.
It's that valuing. I think that's a lot of what confidence is. I value me. And so you walk a little taller, or you speak up a little louder, or you smile more because I'm okay with me. Yeah. Flaws, mistakes, that's all part of the package. But that's important. And I think a lot of women I've worked with, they love their caregiving role, but then maybe they get burdened by that. Whatever that is, if you're married or in a partnership or kids or parents or whatever. But they forget to take care of themselves. It's so important to make sure the dog gets fresh water every day. How much water do you drink?
Right.
And I think especially in Colorado, so many people, they take better care of their pets.
It's true.
Gourmet dog food, but then they,
or their cars.
People
take better care of their cars a lot of times than they do their bodies.
And why do they do that? Well, cars are expensive. Okay, but you're invaluable. Right? You can't get another you. And even with, replacement parts and all of that, doctors I've talked to said it's still not as good as the original. Right? So it's that idea of valuing. So mind, body, spirit was always what I tell my clients. Are you putting good stuff in with what you read or you see? It's okay to see junk every now and then, but kind of like food. You don't want a diet of Twinkies. Once in a while, not great for you, but hey, if it's once in a while, that's all right. I think it's the same thing with the things we read or the things we participate in, the people we're around, the things we go be part of. I think it's the same. It's like it's a life diet. Right. And so are you letting yourself, well, I'm so busy, I'm working, I've got 2 jobs. I know, but you can carve out even 5 minutes. right? If we can't carve out 5 minutes a day, then when do you have time to go to the bathroom? Right? Are you eating?
Yeah.
So if you have to double up, go ahead. Driving, you better not be on your phone. So couldn't that be the time to breathe? Or listen to some tunes that you already did before you were driving, so you're not distracted. But I think that focus, right now you and I are here, and so I'm not going to let myself think about what's next on my calendar. I can't, because I'm here with you, and hopefully you feel that as we're talking, like I'm here. My brain isn't over here, and I think we owe that to ourselves. A lot of times in that caregiver role, I hear people all the time, men and women say, I don't have time. I say, well, make that time for you. Because then, like you said, you start to build that cool little circle. If I made the time, I took the time, it was good for me, I deserve it, I'll make a little more time.
Yeah.
And then sometimes when people are really good caregivers, they'll be like, I don't want to be selfish. And I call it oxygen living. When you fly, they tell you if the plane depressurizes, the mask drops, and you're supposed to put yours on first because you will be passing out very quickly. They don't say that part, but that's why.
Right.
You can't breathe, and so put your mask on first, and then you can help the people near you.
Yeah, that's something I talk to my clients about all the time is it's so important that we fill ourselves up first, because when we do, then we naturally overflow to everybody that we love, everybody that we care about benefits, because we have so much more to give. But when we're giving from that place of emptiness and I have nothing left to give, I'm just depleted, I'm just empty, then it feels like an obligation, and other people feel that too. And it feels icky to receive that.
Well, yes, because then you start feeling like, okay, then don't do it.
Right.
And then anger can set in, right? That's when you're slamming down the cup of coffee instead of saying, here you go, Rachel. And I think that tuning in, maybe you're not getting enough sleep, and if you can't, go find people who can help you get that sleep. Maybe you're not eating right, and so your body's just kind of, when was the last time you did some kind of exercise, right? If you don't want to go to a gym or can't afford it, that's great. But what are you doing? Heck, go for walks. I think that's why so many people do run. Make sure you get good shoes, hurt your body, right? But I think because it's one of the least expensive things. Or go for a walk. Goodness, if you can't run.
Oh, definitely.
Can you?
Yeah.
And if you got physical stuff that keeps you from doing things, well, what could you do in that? Okay, great, your legs don't work, but your arms still do. Or you're right, you can't breathe very well, so we're not telling you go do crazy cardio, but what are you doing just to get out and, if nothing else, just be with yourself out doing things, right? I mean, gosh, right here in Colorado, there's so many things that we can do up the street, right, to just be in nature, and there's some studies that show that our brain waves change when we're in nature.
Right, yeah.
Right?
I even saw one that was, and I don't remember the specifics, but it was just about having plants in the office. That even just being surrounded by plants in the office made a difference in people's psychology.
Yes,
so.
and a lot of people talk about water, right? The sound of water.
Oh, yeah.
My sound machine in my office is different forms of water, and a couple of people don't like that, so I have to change it. But it's soothing to many people. And again, with that study, they saw that people's brain waves actually went to the more relaxed waves when they were either in nature or listening to nature. So that says something, right? If you can't get out of your office, could you sneak a little nature in your head or something?
Yeah.
But that says something, which is why a lot of times people go out and be the weekend warriors, right? Because you've been in a box all day, or you've been in meetings or running around, and that's valuing yourself. Going, okay, now I need to breathe. I need to sleep. I need to eat some decent food. Friends and family, right? If you don't have them, begin to look for them. Sometimes people, I'm too old. I'm like, you're not too old. You just got to do a little more work. And yes, there are some people who are like, no, I'm this age and I have my 3 friends. Don't talk to me. All right. There are other people, so we're not going to talk with her or him. Go out, volunteer if you can, or knock on your neighbor's door if they're not scary to you, and broaden that a little bit, because you're worth it. I think when we stick with ourselves too much, and depression can certainly make people do that, and that's a whole other thing to work with, right? When you stay with yourself too long, right, you don't have that energy of somebody else or somebody else's thinking or ideas, right? That, okay, I just do my thing. And I think that's why so many people, one of the many reasons, right, biochemical trauma, there's all kinds of reasons why people become depressed. But I say sometimes some people live depressed. They're not out doing anything. Go to work, come home, go to work, come home. Well, I have to because, I can't eat, and okay, I have to do 3 jobs. I'm a single mom. Okay, could you carve out 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Because then even that little bit says, I'm worth it. I work so hard for my family, or got so much going on. Could you carve out 5 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
And you set an alarm if it makes you feel better, right? To go, okay, here, sit and breathe, or read something dumb, or something that's maybe not computer. Let's get away from that once in a while.
Yeah.
Something else, a favorite song, right? Have that on your playlist of, I need to hear this song, and get up and dance, tap your toes, whatever it is. But that confidence, again, comes from belief in yourself. And then when you go out and challenge yourself, right, to go out and do stuff, even say hello to a stranger or two, and discern that they're not scary, hurtful people, right?
Yeah.
If it's an old person coming out of the bank, we're probably not going to hurt you, and you just start to see, that didn't hurt to say good morning to somebody. It wasn't overwhelming, hopefully, to chat with the checkout person. Hey, how's your day going?
Yeah.
Instead of just saying fine, pick a different word. That might start a conversation. I hardly say fine because it gives an opportunity. If somebody's up for it, they'll converse with me, and if not, it's okay. How are you doing today? Awesome. Great. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Hanging in there when I had that horrible cold, right? How are you doing today? It's been a day.
Right.
Oh, there's a story there. Because fine to me is like a flat line.
It is.
Right?
Yeah.
And
the conversation kind of ends there.
It does. And maybe you're there, right? I'm not in a good mood. I don't want to talk. Fine. Okay. But if I live there every day, everything just starts to deplete. And so we got to look for opportunities to feel confident. And again, it's not just the feeling, because maybe it'll take a while to get that feeling. It's, I know I have something to offer. Okay.
Yeah.
And even if it's a hello to somebody, it might work all the way up to some volunteering or trying something new or going back for that certification or degree you always told yourself you would. Why not? I had a client that it took her 7 years to get her degree because family and this and that, but she took a class at a time. And because she came in and said, I finally got my degree, and I hadn't worked with her that whole time, and I said, how long did that take? And she said, 7 years. I said, you're done. You crammed it in raising kids and taking care of your sick mother, and right, and I think that's part of the confidence, being willing to celebrate our accomplishments. Mm-hmm. Right, and depending on the person, they're on different scales, right? If you have some of my clients have to wear oxygen, right, and so they celebrate the days that maybe they don't need it as much.
I like that. Yeah.
Like hey, or a gal that I heard about that had a stroke, and she did some treatments that allowed her to take 32 steps.
Wow.
Right, she had some. Good. Maybe I can't get out of that wheelchair, but I can at least go from the wheelchair to the chair or the bed by myself. Mm-hmm. Right, and then you get confidence. And then maybe I'll try making that recipe that seemed too hard, or maybe I'll make that phone call I've been putting off.
So it sounds to me like there's actually some value in really challenging ourselves too, to try stuff that maybe we're not really sure we can do, and being it's like we have to get okay with failure too, and one of the things that they teach in NLP that I like is they always say there's no failure, there's only feedback. And so it's like, okay, that didn't work, so try a different way. You learned something out of that, even if you didn't get what you were trying to accomplish.
Yes, and there's a lot of talk about fail forward, right?
Yes.
So if you think you failed, okay, people can't get out of that language. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do next? Are you going to give up? Or, how bad did you want that thing? No, that woman, right? I really want to walk.
Yeah.
She's not going to ever get back to where she was, but it's sure better than staying there with her legs not working. Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's being willing to push yourself, because we get scared. People get scared. And there's such a thing as normal functional anxiety. Did you know that?
I don't think I've heard of that specifically before.
So any kind of nervousness you may feel going into a job interview, first day at a new thing, right? Whether it's a new community, a new church, a new job, a new city, right? If you and I picked up and went to, let's pick, I don't know, Seattle. I haven't been to Seattle ever.
Me either.
Okay, so we picked up and went, and you and I would be on high alert.
Right.
Because it's new, I don't know what's going on, right? We don't know how safe it is, although I think Seattle's pretty safe. And we're going to be on high alert, and you're going to have a little bit of that tension, a little bit of that. That's to keep us on guard and ready. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be debilitating, right? And so a little bit of anxiety is okay, right? That nervousness. And I think we like to be so comfortable sometimes in middle America that we don't want any negative feeling. That's not a negative feeling. It's saying, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm in a new city. We'd like to have fun and be safe. We're going to be on alert.
Right. So it's being okay with a little bit of discomfort.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe even welcoming that a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of the things I'm reading now talk about how the best parts of life are on the other end of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, why not? Again, going back to kids, until they learn from other people or some of their own little mistakes, they're like, okay, I'll do it.
Right.
Until you hear something, oh, you'll get hurt, or you can't be an astronaut, a lawyer, a lion tamer, and a nurse. Like, I don't know, maybe in a lifetime you could.
Maybe.
Why not? Why tell them no? But
right.
I like to be around people because it brings my enthusiasm and my risk-taking up a little bit. Because I do tend to walk on the safe side of the street. But every now and then I realize, measured risk is what I call it, that I'm willing to do some things that maybe other people in my life go, really? Why not? Because I've already thought it through enough that I'm like, okay, it's worth that risk. It's really, in my head, it's come out to be just this much risk. And when I thought it was, I'm okay with that. It's not going to orphan my children or maim me. All right.
Yeah.
And so being around people who are willing to take risks, I can't handle this kind of crazy risk, but okay, why not? Why not? What's it going to do? How is it going to hurt you? What could be the worst thing that can happen? I'm like, ooh, I like that questioning because that fits my thinking, right? Like, what's the worst thing can happen? It doesn't work. I'll try a different version, or I'll realize that doesn't work. How many times will I give myself a chance? But how bad do you want it? How bad do you need a new friend? How bad do you need a better relationship?
Yeah.
Right? How bad do you want to be able to walk tall and have confidence? We got to create it sometimes. Just, you got to find that little seed. And that seed might go all the way back to second grade with the teacher that told you were an amazing student. Or the one coach who said, not bad. Right? Sometimes you have to really dig.
Yeah.
Okay. Or the little friend that you had that just thought you were awesome. We got to dig sometimes.
So it's kind of mining our experience and our past and our life and looking for those little nuggets and kind of pulling those out and focusing on those things.
Yeah, and if there were any negatives, what were those? Were there mean people, or was it things I really did need to work on? Right? Because we got to be honest with ourselves, and all of us aren't like 100% awesome all the time. It's, all right, well, like we were saying earlier, if people tell me I'm pushy, then I should probably work on that because that's not who I want to be.
Yeah.
And, maybe it's a different way. Maybe I need to just figure out how to dial it down to just be assertive. Because some of that raw stuff, when you see little kids, right, you're like, ooh, that kid's going to be a great leader when he is at Sabasi.
Right.
Or whatever. And wow, she's really going to, do this and that if.
Right, so it could be a real strength underneath that, even that thing that is showing up as a negative.
Right.
It's just that maybe we need to kind of polish it and find the value in it.
The value in it, and I think maybe even the valuing of other people. Just because I can think of ideas and throw them out there, maybe the people I'm around right this minute don't want different answers. Maybe I think differently than they do, or sometimes I've realized that I think really fast. And I can get a lot of thoughts in my head. I'm thinking, I got to realize if I'm with people maybe who don't think quite the same way I do, I got to slow it down a little bit and not throw too much at them. Right, so that way it doesn't feel like I'm taking over this. It's, no, just some of my thoughts. And I love what you said about mining. It is mining, and hopefully some things today too, right? The old stuff is good because then you can kind of go, wow, people have seen it since I was 15. That's kind of a good feeling, but you want to be able to go, what today am I doing? And if the answer isn't anything, then maybe that's a goal. I have to start going out there and challenge myself. You don't have to go big and crazy, right? You're not going to want to step into a crowd of 100 people and just start yelling things, right? They'll think you're crazy, but challenge yourself a little bit because, I don't know, comfortable can feel good, but after a while, it gets stale. It gets stale, And
I think it tends to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And
it does.
I one of the things I really want to do in my life is travel. And I went on a couple trips recently with my family, and I had some stress come up with it. And I realized in looking at it that it was because there were certain things that I wasn't in control of. Oh, yes. And I really like to be in control. and so I had to look at, okay, I've got two options here. Either I can just say, okay, I'm just not going to travel anymore because there's too many things I can't control, too many variables. Or I can look at myself and go, okay, I need to work on myself and get to a point where that's not an issue anymore. Because I realized if I keep locking out things, well, I can't control this, so I'm going to avoid that. I can't control this, I'm going to avoid that. Eventually, I'm going to get to the point where I'm shut in my house, afraid to walk out the front door because I can't control any of that stuff out there, really.
Right,
So,
and that's where anxiety takes over. Instead of it being that, getting ready to do exciting things, it becomes fear. And, there's, again, measured risk, measured fear. Why did you have to be in control? And I'm a recovering control freak, so I totally get that, right? That I do.
The kindred spirit.
Yes. But I've learned, and probably because, in raising kids, I wanted them to not be afraid to do things. I have girls, and I wanted them to be strong, confident, self-sufficient, amazing women who care about people, right? Take care of themselves. So I thought, wow, this is a tall order. My husband was definitely on board with this, right? House of strong women. And I wanted them to tune into other people, but never to lose themselves. Because we can fall into a lot of caregiving roles, and it's an amazing honor to care for people, but that can't be your only role, and you can't control everything. And so I found myself verbalizing to teach them, and then over time I realized I need to embrace this, that, and they laugh because my phrase is like, well, that was an adventure. I don't know if I want it again, or we've had dumb things happen along the way. We're like, why didn't we pack that? Or, oh goodness. And I've learned to just roll with it a little because I'm a problem solver. I'm like, well, how cold will we be without that jacket? Do I have to go back and get it, or can I be okay? And we laugh. We're like, sometimes you just have to suck it up. I don't say it a lot, but just like, I forgot my jacket. We're out here. I'm not going to die in this weather. I'm just going to be really uncomfortable. Okay, right, and you feel it, and then you go on, right? You're like, you're right, and you grumble, and every now and then my husband will have to tell me, right? I love this man. You gotta let it go, honey. And I'm like, I can't. And he'll say, let it go, and he has this look on him that he knows that I need to let it go. I know I need to let it. He's my awesome reminder with that sometimes, and I don't like that look he gives me because I know he knows he's right. He knows let it go, honey. I don't want to. I can't. And then I realize I hear him there, right? He's right. And I work through it, right? And then I let it go. I let it go. So being confident doesn't mean I know everything and I'm all put together. I mean, it means that I'm a work in progress and I want to just keep getting better. I want to value myself. So that way when I go out and I'm out there, right, like I'm giving off that sense of who I am, that, right, man, I'll meet some amazing people and get to do cool stuff. And my husband and I have talked a lot about that. Look at all the cool things we've got to do. And I said, I think my best friend and I, used to talk about, I think it's because of the vibe we give off. When she and I were together, we'd be laughing our heads off. And she said it was like we were carrying sparklers or something, because people would just look at us like, why are you having so much fun in the cafeteria or whatever? And we just had fun with each other, and we liked ourselves. And, I internalized a lot of that with my girlfriends that are still my friends from college, that they love me. They're my posse, right? Like, I remember that. And, we group text each other a lot, and we give each other accolades, and I soak it in, and I let them know, it doesn't have to be National Friendship Day when I tell them, thank you, right? You don't have any idea what you are for me, that I soak it up and I need it. And so, I hold on to those, and I make sure I pour it out too, right? You don't want to just be taking it in, that it emboldens me to have the confidence. And sometimes they'll even go up to total strangers, right, that they're just looking and carrying themselves in such an amazing way. I'll just go up and I can kind of read their open, and I'll sit there and go, I don't know, you're just awesome today. Right? Or you look amazing, or you're carrying yourself like with power. And every now and then I'll just get brave enough to go tell people that. And they're like, thank you.
That's awesome.
Right?
And that's probably a compliment they'll remember for years to come.
I hope so, right? Like,
hopefully,
wow, you're standing out in a crowd of people sludging through life, right? And I want to stand out a little bit, not because I think I'm all that, just because, why not? Life's short and it's hard. Why not enjoy it along the way? I try to have fun along the way when I'm not in my intensity, and try to balance that, because I can get really intense and I need it. Like my husband says, let it go. You're right. I didn't like that. That was dumb. And he's like, I know. Let it go. Okay, let it go. I'm still a work in progress, but I'm so much better than I was. And I'm glad that I've been able to pour that into my own girls. Right? They're 19 and 16, and I love who they are. I did not have the confidence they do at this age. And they still have the normal angst of being off at college or in high school, but it's so normal I sit there and go, wow, this is awesome. And then they'll say and do things, and I'll tell my husband, I didn't have the confidence to do that at that age. He's like, I didn't either. And we're like, rock on, we're doing our job.
That's great.
Right? Because they're doing things that I'm like, there's no way I would have thought of that at that age. And so I'm not going to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was like, well, how do we make it happen then? And we'll get feedback from people. Why are you letting your kid do that? I'm like, okay, it's good stuff, right? They're not doing drugs and hurtful stuff. They're wanting to go volunteer and get bigger, better. And why wouldn't I say, sure, go to school out of state. Okay. If that's where, right, and for my older daughter, that's a perfect fit for her. It's exactly where she needs to be, right? And if I was like, no, I want you here because it makes me comfortable. And right, remember I said that I've learned that from people in my life that the good stuff is beyond your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And then I get on the other end, I'm like, that wasn't as bad as I feared it was.
It's almost never as bad as we build it up in our minds
almost
to
never.
be, right?
Yeah.
We kind of catastrophize things sometimes in our
Yeah,
minds.
that's the big one, right? When like it's going to be awful, and even in ugly stuff, right? We can pull something halfway decent out of it. I survived. I have survivor guilt. Yeah, for a little bit. Don't live there. Right? You survived and go on, and there was something in you that let you survive, or there was something about what you decided that let you survive. Have confidence in that. Have confidence in that. You walk taller. You're more approachable. You start to see things different. Like literally, our thinking changes our chemical makeup in our brain, right? Because technically, thoughts are chemicals.
Right.
And you work in that world, right?
Yeah.
That if I'm thinking good things, right, and not just pie in the sky stuff, like, who are the friends in my life? What's good in my life? What do I like about my life? And even if that is a short list, that's already changing your chemicals. And it's not la-la thinking, right, that, but I have all these other things going. I know. We go quick to that negative stuff, so believe me, you're not going to forget to pay your mortgage or that you need to get to that appointment. It's a little harder to hold on to the good stuff, especially with the various news things that hit, right? That, you don't want to soak yourself up and know what's going on. It's important to know what's going on in the world, but don't bathe in it. Don't bathe in it, because you'll traumatize yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think sometimes when big world news comes up, it's easy to kind of get glued to the TV or glued to the computer, and I have to find out everything that's going on, and I want to know. I want to watch this story and this story and this story, and we just get immersed in it.
You do, and then you kind of you're not doing oxygen. You're over here, right? And they're talking about the most recent thing. Everybody's lining up for blood, and I'm like, cool. There was a little thing we got at a restaurant. Do it in your local community, right? Because you can't fly out to Florida, and you can't get to Texas, and so then if you have that feeling, that's humanity. That's compassion, right? That's a value. I'm a compassionate person. That's a confidence thing. Then do something in your community then, right? I can't make it to Vegas, but I can take canned goods to my local food bank. I can, help my neighbor next door who's too old to mow her lawn, right? Like that. I can contribute, and that's another confidence with it. I have something to contribute, and heck, even if it's 5 cents in that red kettle coming up at Christmas, you contribute. You don't have much, but a nickel will help.
Well, and I think too, when we overwhelm ourselves by having to watch all the stories and read all the stories and just be immersed in it, we tend to get that sense of it's so big, there's nothing that I could do that would mean anything. And if we just can have just a little bit of impact, then we can feel like we're making a difference in the world.
Right.
And we don't have to, don't watch the news all day. Have maybe look at what's going on a little bit if you feel like you need to, but then do something positive about it. Don't be immersed in the negative.
And be creative. You know what? I don't have $1 million to write a check for hurricane relief, but I have a few bucks. Or again, why not do your local world then?
Right. Yeah, you
'cause
could go work at the food bank for the week or something.
Yeah, or volunteer at a local place that takes volunteer, right? Like a senior center. I can go hold somebody's hand, or my dream is to be able to work at the NICU when I'm older and rock babies.
Yeah.
Right? So, that's my dream later. And people are like, why would you do it? I'm like, I love babies. Right? And so that would fit me. So that would be cool for me to later do that and give my time and go hold the babies when their mommies and daddies have to go home or go back to work or whatever. And I could do that. But until then, I do other things. I kind of have this list of different things I'd like to be part of. And it's cool. And that helps you be part of something bigger than you. That's a confidence booster. It really is, right? And the bigger than you could just be one person who's not you.
Well, yeah, you were talking earlier about having friends and kind of the importance of having that community.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, calling up a friend and going, hey, I know you're moving. Do you want some help packing? Or, I sometimes my mom and I have. Okay, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, we went to screensaver for a minute. Where we'll just go over and help the other person clean for half an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
I'll help you get organized today, and then you can help me next week or something. And it's
So that would be what I'd say. Tap into who you are. Find people to help you do it. Right? Because no man is an island, no woman is an island. And believe people. Right? The ones who are good, they've passed the test of time with you. Why would they lie to you? And choose to soak it in. And even some of the feedback that maybe you don't like, well, sort of, is there any truth to that? If so, work on it. But we get to choose, and confidence doesn't have to be because you're a star on the screen or everybody knows your name, or it just comes from me. I have value, I have worth, and I'm going to go out there and just do life. Even if I've got stuff that I'm dealing with, right? Even if I have chronic whatever. I'm a human being and I have something to offer. Even if it's a kind smile to a stranger once a day. That's offering something good.
We all have something that we can offer the world. We all have something beautiful and wonderful
about us. And that builds the confidence. And then you maybe try one more thing and try one more thing. Who knows? Or you try just 2 things and you're good. That's okay. It's valuing yourself, not just feeling good about yourself. It's valuing yourself.
Yeah. So it's really an attitude of confidence.
Based on something real.
And it's not just, I bought this new dress that I know I look good in, or I got this haircut, and it's more that internal sense of no matter where I am, I have something.
Yeah, because, then I can be in my no makeup, hair in a frump, and yucky sweats, and I still walk with confidence.
Yeah.
Because I still am awesome, right?
Right.
Not perfect, but I like me. So, yeah.
I like that.
That's confidence.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I think this was a really, really valuable conversation.
Oh, you're welcome. I had fun.
So, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about if they want to work with you, how to do that, or what you're up to, what you're excited about?
Yes. So, I'm a clinical psychologist. I have my own practice, Dayspring Counseling, and I do a lot of work with mood and women and life phase and all of that, but I love doing public speaking. And I'm trying to branch out more in that and coming to your group, organization, business, school. I've done them all to help people learn, more about whatever it is they want to do. I can talk on almost anything: relationships, self, depression, trauma, anxiety, life events. How do we deal with the world around us when things are crazy? And so I have an email, and it's Cynthia, or Regardie, CREGARDIE, at dayspringcounseling-co.com, or my office number, 303-456-5555. I'm available for consultations and just helping people figure out maybe even a path of what they need to do. Even if they don't continue to work with me, what do you need in your life, so then I can make referrals for whole health and wellness. And definitely public speaking when my voice isn't so raspy. But I'm just excited to help people just really find out who they are and just go out and do life and enjoy life.
Great, I love that. And I think you're really living your passion, so I can tell you're just really love what you do.
I do. I've done it a very long time, and I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, awesome. And I will put her information in the notes below the video, in the show notes. Yeah. So if you missed what she said, it'll all be in below the video. So
yes. Awesome.
Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Yes.